Hello, I'm Melanie Murphy and I'm a YouTuber, and Lil-Lets have invited me here today to talk a little bit about growing up and how I found that, becoming a teenager, all that good stuff. I really hope this will make the whole thing less confusing for those of you at home going through it right now. Find out more at becomingateen.ie. I was 11 when I got my first period, and I was the first of my friends that had a period, so I'd never heard about it, I didn't know what it was at all, and I woke up and I just got out of the bed, but there was blood all over the sheet, and I legged it into my mom's room. I was like, "Mom, help!" Like I really was terrified, and I was crying and everything like that, and she just started laughing at me, and she was like, "Oh, would you hear it?" She just gave me pads to go in and put on. She was like, "Just put one of them into your knickers, you'll be fine." But she didn't properly even explain it to me then. She was just kind of laughing. She was in a rush to get ready for work and she was doing her makeup. And I just remember sitting in the bathroom like, what is happening? And she was like, "Oh, you're a woman now." And I was like, "What does that mean?" I think just go and speak to your mum and be brave to speak to her, because after the initial thing happened, the flow came out, I did speak to her when she was free, and we had a sit-down conversation about it, and I asked her a lot of questions like, how often does it happen, how long does it last for, what should I do, you know, what can I not do at that time of the month. So she then did really help me. But there's a lot of books in the bookshop about this aimed at teenage girls that really do walk you through everything. There's a lot of websites you can just type in first period and you'll find something that will teach you everything you need to know. But it's not something to be afraid of. It's a really natural feeling, even though the cramps can get very bad. Some people experience really bad cramps and mood swings, and some people don't experience anything. So you have to kind of let your first few periods come through, maybe 6 or 7, to know what it's going to be like. I don't think I told anyone for a couple of weeks, because I had a couple of close female friends. My other friends were boys, and I definitely didn't want to tell them. But I remember being in the bathroom and thinking I was so grown up. I remember changing my pad and I was like, yeah, I just thought I was so cool because no one else really had it or talked about it. And then when I did talk to my friends about it, they thought, "Oh wow, you have it." Like it was like this novelty or something like that. And yeah, I thought it was great. I remember loving it. My little technique was, this is so silly because it doesn't matter if people know or not, but I didn't like people hearing when I was in school, because I just wouldn't like my friends knowing, especially they'd know then why I was in a bad humor or whatever. But I used to go into the bathroom and I'd flush the toilet, and then really quickly I'd start coughing and and I'd like tear it off while the noises were happening, so that there was no way anyone was going to know. So ridiculous, isn't it, when you think back, like why? Just why did I care? I don't think I realised at the time that discharge was associated with a period, but I remember getting discharged for a long time before my period, and I didn't know what that was. I remember I always kept going into my mum asking what that was, and you know, is that okay? And I felt so awkward asking her, because it's such a gross thing at the time to tell your mum that, or to even show them, you know. I was like, oh God. But I kind of felt comfortable enough with her at that time to ask her that, because I was scared that there was something wrong with me. But I didn't realise about mood swings or bloating or anything like that. I didn't know anything about periods, so I had no idea that those things might be linked. And reflecting back on it, I think I definitely had a bit of a tender stomach and maybe a slight feeling of cramps and being in a bit of a grumpy mood, but nothing too extreme to the point where I kind of was expecting something to happen, because I remember just waking up and thinking, like, I would just be in an absolute shock because it just was so unexpected. When I first had my period for the first couple of years, I did let it prevent me from doing things, because more so I liked using it as an excuse for things. But at the same time, then when I started doing basketball, and you know, we'd have a really important match and I had my period, it didn't in any way impair me from doing sports. So you shouldn't let it. And I feel like exercise actually helps, and it's been proven to help with cramps and your mood and everything like that. So I think just push on through doing your normal everyday tasks, and don't let it be this big massive issue in your life. And if you are getting really bad cramps and pains, you know, make sure that you always have, you know, maybe painkillers or something like that there. Just talk to your doctor about it and find out different lifestyle tips that's going to help that and kind of balance it out. For the first couple of years, your effects from your period might be very intense, but they do level out over time once your body kind of adjusts to it. So I had a very bad experience when I was about 14 going to a junior disco. I was wearing a white skirt, horrible skirt, but it was white and it had little like buckles on it. It was disgraceful, fashion choice. But I remember my period got a little bit onto my skirt and people noticed, and it was one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me. And that is so silly that we would be embarrassed about a normal bodily function, but it's just because at that age, everyone likes to pick on everyone for everything. So it was more of a fact that the boys saw and knew, and it became this big joke, and that followed me around for quite a while. But I feel like that was because at the time I was afraid of using tampons, and I would only use pads because I was just terrified of the idea of putting anything in there. So I was using the pad, and that was a bad idea using a skirt. So I wish I'd used a tampon, and I also just wish I had laughed it off a bit more and not letting it like ruin my whole week. So this is something I've mastered over the years. I feel like there's a bunch of lifestyle things, so making sure that you're sleeping at a right time and getting enough hours in the night, so between 7 and 9 hours is supposed to be ideal. Drinking lots of water and eating well and exercising, so having like a light routine that's not too strenuous at that time of the month. Making sure that you have like a nice shower gel or a nice bath bombs or something so you can pamper yourself at that time of the month as well. Having your pads or your tampons in all of your bags so you're never left unprepared. And scheduling in time with your friends. I think having like a sleepover or some girly time where you have hot chocolate and you talk about boys and complain and you can cry, just having that kind of time scheduled every month is so nice that it takes a lot of the kind of pressure off, and it lets you kind of let loose and kind of get it off your chest, because I get very emotional at my time of the month and I need my friends and I need to just be nice to myself and not give myself a hard time if I want to, you know, eat a load of junk or something like that. It's just 1 week, just deal with it, you'll be fine.